Have you ever heard the phrase, when it rains, it pours? Somebody better send me an umbrella for this one. You might recall that recently on my channel I just got some new tires, and whenever I came back I was talking about a valve stem that may have not been placed correctly, and my dad looked at it and we were going to do something with it but hadn't got an opportunity to, and lo and behold, this happened. I came outside and my tire was completely flat. You know, I've said here on the channel it's about growing, learning, adapting, moving forward, and correcting things that are happening. Well, today we're gonna get to correct something that's happening and hope that it has not messed up the brand new tire. Oh, why is this my life right now? Oh well, I've already called in reinforcements. Unfortunately, I disrupted my dad's trip to the store, so you know, he'll be here in just a little while because I have no idea how to fix this one. This is what a tire's supposed to look like, brand new, with air in it. But again, this is what this tire looks like, and well, I see that this is gonna be a problem. The valve stem is like right down here at the bottom. So, now the one thing that I will say is by calling my dad while he was at the store, there are supplies there. So I think he's gonna go ahead and pick up a new valve stem, and I'm gonna get to see how this is done. I don't see myself replacing a valve stem in the future by myself, but at least we're gonna learn what that looks like and why sometimes this kind of stuff happens. Now apparently if you get new tires, this can happen and does happen a little bit more frequently than I thought. I did some Google searching, and while it's not supposed to happen, a lot of people do report that this does happen. So this is my cautionary tale to help you guys because, well, why not? The fact of the matter is, here on my channel I share all the weird stuff that happens so you guys can see what realistically happens whenever you partake in van life. A lot of people see the pretty images and the cool places, and that's only a fraction of the actual story itself. And so by sharing what really happens along the way when it comes to the van maintenance and the weird stuff like this, you know, it gives you a better idea as to what you're getting yourself into. Just like whenever you're in a house, you're gonna have your own set of challenges, and with this van as of late, I have had a lot more challenges, and most of them are not things that I could even control. I got hit whenever I was in Phoenix, can't control that. Can't get the parts here in Texas because there's a back order, can't control that. Blew a tire, can't control that. Valve stem, can't control that. But today we're going to learn how to manage our expectations when it comes to van life as a result of all these things. I think a lot of times we can convince ourselves of an idea and say, yes, I want to do that. But we need to go into it prepared so that we know what comes with all of that. And so again, I hope this video helps. Okay, so Dad got home and he brought this with him. So he's gonna show me how this works, and then we'll be able to keep this if we ever have to do this again. And he just picked this up at Walmart, so this should be interesting, guys. Okay, so what Dad's doing right now is he's actually seeing if it could be tightened in there. If it can be, then we'll be able to use the existing valve stem. But if it cannot be, he's going to replace it. So he's using the little tool that came in the kit right now, and I'll show you a little closer what that looks like. Okay, so what is a valve stem? Let's start there. Dad just explained it a little bit better to me. It's not actually just the piece that sticks out, it's the piece within the piece, the tiny little piece. And so right now what he's doing is he's actually using that little tool to kind of unscrew it so that he can get to it a little bit better, so then he can maneuver it. So the thing that actually sticks out that holds the nozzle whenever you're putting air on there, that's the exterior part, but there's an internal part, and that's the part that sometimes gets messed up. So we're learning today. We're getting some brain wrinkles about tires. Kind of weird, but at the same time, very valuable information. So this little guy right here, this is what the actual valve stem looks like when it's out. It's just a tiny little piece, as you can see, and that tiny little piece can make all the difference between if you have air in your tires or not. So it's not just the tires themselves or the little thing that you put the air in. It's this guy also that's part of your tire health. Now inside this kit that Dad picked up, there's a little test gauge in there. Of course I have one already. There's the tool that you can manually remove the valve stems with. There's a few valve stems, so there's like 4 little valve stems that come in here. There's some extra caps for your tire, and so all of this is very handy. So I'm going to be keeping this where I can use it again if I need to. Now, why didn't I notice this before whenever I pulled away from the shop? Well, it's because it's that little interior piece, so there's no way I could have seen it unless I would have gotten down there and like looked in there, and then even if I would have, I may not have been able to tell if it was in there correctly. So this is one of those things that you're hoping that it gets installed correctly, but if you don't, it will make your tires flat. So whenever I got back to my base camp, it was fine. It was just fine. And then the next day it was not fine. So that's kind of what happens when it's this kind of issue. And unfortunately, again, there's nothing that we could have done to know if it was in a good place or not at the tire shop itself. So now Dad's got the air coming out here, so we're gonna put some air in it and see what happens. So as he does this, he also has in his hand his little tester, and this is very similar to the one I have. It's just a larger version. So after he gets air in here, what he's doing is he's able to then test it to see if it's the correct pressure, and on your tire it'll actually say what the pressure needs to be, which I believe on these is like 55. But we'll check to make sure though. Okay, so a couple of other things to kind of look for if you are around your tires and you notice that one of them's a little bit low, and you take off the little cap and you hear it making the psss noise. That likely means that it is a valve stem situation, and so because of that, this is what you would need to look into. Now, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you can take this to a tire shop, and a tire shop can also do this, but they will charge you a little bit to do it. But typically this is something that also can be done at home. Dad is a former mechanic, of course, so he does have a little bit more expertise than like I would, so he feels more confident doing it. But that's why we learn from people who know, so that we can do the job next time. So I'm hoping there is not a next time, but if there is, at least now I kind of know what the process is. Now, does that make me confident and fully able to do it? Probably not, but at least I will know kind of what to do, and in a pinch I can and I will, and in combination with the powers of watching YouTube videos, I could do this. Okay, so for now the tire is good to go. Dad just got finished putting about 52 pounds of air in it, again using the tire for the reference as to how much that he needed. He put the cap on. There's no noticeable air leaks now. He also did like a water test, and in a water test, basically you put some water on it and see if it bubbles. It did not. So everything appears to be good to go. So now we wait. And if nothing bad happens, then I'll be road ready for going back on the road and getting some fun stuff done. It's been quite a struggle with the tires and the van and all the craziness along the way, but I'm really happy to see that this has now been completed, and I got to learn a little bit more about how it actually works, and that it is something that I could potentially do. I'm going to keep that little kit with me in the van in my maintenance kit, which of course lives up on the roof, and if anything weird happens, of course I'll let you guys know along the way, and we'll go through it together again. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and close up everything for the night and go inside, and then tomorrow I'll check it out just to make sure everything's good to go, and if it is, we're on the road.